So I'm going to just quickly read the purpose that we wrote in the industry panel proposal, and that's the purpose of an industry panel is to advance links with industry and gain thought leadership from young professionals and their leaders on their career and industry advancement. I'm going to talk both about the industry panel and the student panel, and we're going to get some input. We're going to have a couple of discussions to get your thoughts on what they should entail. The industry panel piece is a lot more advanced at the moment in that there's a proposal for it, and the student panel piece isn't, because there isn't a proposal for it as yet. But the idea might be along the line that the student panel would mirror the best practice that we define in the industry panel and take it on from there. This session, I'm going to explain a bit about the panel, or the proposal for the panel. We're going to have a bit of a discussion about the industry panel, then get some feedback, make some notes and stuff. A bit of a discussion about the student panel and get some feedback, make some notes, and then hopefully I can take anything we've got, write up some more stuff, put it on Huddle so everyone can read what we've discussed about and thought about and take it forward from there. So, talking first about the aims of the panel, this is my one slide. The other thing is I'm sort of feeling a bit bad because the panels fit in this professionalism category, and I've shown a distinct lack of professionalism by writing this on the train on the way up this morning and spending most of the time sleeping. So this is my one slide for the day to talk you through the aims of the industry panel. So, to gain thought leadership from industry on topics affecting younger members of the profession, to create unique networking opportunities for CIOs and their leading younger professionals, to provide younger professionals with an opportunity for executive mentoring and a public engagement programme, increasing the YPG visibility, and increasing representation and support from industry, and finally communicating the views of younger professionals to the BCS and also to the wider community. The thoughts on the industry panel so far, based on the aims that we've defined, are to hold 3 events over the course of a year. The first event will be a thought leadership debate and dinner, and I'll talk a little bit more. That's the one event we've thought of so far, so I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Then there'll be 2 further events, and out of each of these events will flow a paper, a report that we'll release to the wider BCS, to industry, to the press if we can get traction there, and as Jen was talking about earlier, get the YPG's view on various themes and topics out there into the wider community. To start with, our thoughts are that we'll invite 10 companies to provide us with sort of maybe 3 or 4 younger professionals and someone of the level of a CIO or CEO, if it's a smaller company, or something like that, to come along to these events. And there's a couple of things with that. The first is that we're going to ask that the company agrees to provide a couple of things to the younger professionals outside of the panel environment. The first would be some executive mentoring, so that it's not just you come to the panel and you go away for 3 or 4 months, and you come back to a panel and you go away for 3 or 4 months. So a bit of executive mentoring to encourage that younger professional to further their career during their time. And the second is to encourage the younger professional to get involved with some of their colleagues at the company, so that the sort of impact of the panel is spread out further into the company. So they might run events internally. And I think that sort of also takes, we were talking earlier about some of the things we could do with companies and increasing community. That might be a start for something like that. So that's that. And we're going to pick these organisations. Basically, we're looking at 2 things. First is the size of the organisation. We're quite keen not to have all the big blue chips or big consultancies making up these panels. We want to get a real cross-section of organisation, both through size and also through the areas of IT. Something I'm quite keen on is that now with IT, with the internet and everything around that, IT isn't just your Microsofts and your IBMs of this world. It's all the little online startups, those using the web for marketing type things. I mean, one of the big events of sort of the last couple of years has been the impact that Obama's web team had on his election as US president, and that changed the way a campaign was run. So getting companies that maybe when you first think, oh, this isn't an IT company directly, but they have a big sort of IT arm that inputs into that. So they're the things we're looking at. And that, as I say, will all start with a thought leadership dinner. Idea of that is that they'll all come together, the younger professionals, the CIOs, will have a topic, and there'll be a speaker for the topic, there'll be a speaker against the topic, and over dinner, well, the topic will be debated, and we'll move out with the report that we can pass on to the wider community. So that's the aims of the panel, industry panel, should I say, and it's where we get to our first discussion point. Going to split out into teams again, and there are basically a few things which I've written down because I couldn't remember them. First thing, I suppose, is people happy with the proposal, because if everyone thinks it's a rubbish idea, then that might be a quick end to this particular conversation. But assuming that everyone's happy with the proposal, as I said earlier at the start, we've got the idea of the thought leadership dinner, but there are 2 more events that we want to run. And before we take this to all the companies and get CIOs buy-in, it would be nice to be able to say, there's a thought leadership dinner, there's event A, there's event B, and have some thoughts around what those events are going to be. So people's thoughts on those sort of events would be very much appreciated. Ideas for topics, big issues that people want to debate, data privacy, is it anything to do with DNA databases or government databases, or whatever, that will be something that will be interesting. Are there any outcomes that we should have for this panel, other than just providing some feed out to industry? Should it move on further? So people's thoughts on that. And finally, we put the proposal up on Huddle, and Andrew made a really interesting comment, which was, how can we use Huddle, possibly Huddle or something like it, to further discussion after each of the events? And I think that's a really key thing. How are we? I mean, we're meant to be the young professionals group of the British Computer Society, so I think if we're going to do this, we should have some ideas about how we're going to use the technology to enable debate or further debate or broaden the reach of the panel, or all those sort of things. So everyone's thoughts, opinions, ideas on that sort of thing would be also very much appreciated for the first one. So I think if we split out into our teams, 1, 2 and 3 in this room, 4, is it 5 teams? 4 and 5 outside, maybe. Just sort of 10 minutes on this one, ideas for themes and topics, then we'll come back in and write them all up on a chart, and then we'll talk a bit about the student panel. Thank you very much.